Anybody who is seeking gender-affirming surgery, stop dead in your tracks. Stop dead in your tracks right now and analyze why you're seeking that. And I can guarantee you it's not because it's really who you are. I can guarantee you it's because your life experiences have programmed you to develop this belief that that is who you are. But I know enough at this point to confidently say no single person should ever take cross hormones. No single person should ever have surgery to their body that alters it from its biological origin. You don't change your physical body to match your internal sense of self. You change your internal sense of self to match the biology that you are in. That's what makes more sense. And the mental health system needs to get this through their heads. It is not okay to take hormones and do surgeries to your body that defy your biology. I will straight out tell you that. Having seen what I've seen, having experienced what I've experienced, I will not let anybody tell me anymore that what was right for me is not right for other people. I am here to tell you that it is not right for any person whatsoever, no matter who you are, no matter what your beliefs are. It is not right for anybody to have surgery to your body that alters it from its original state based on a belief. Having surgery, it might make you feel amazing. Oh, it's like taking a drug. It makes me feel amazing. I had the surgery, my body matches my internal sense of self, and then you feel like shit later because you fucked up your body. You destroyed your poor body. And I care about your future. I care about your happiness in the future, not as much as your happiness right now. Your happiness right now is temporary. Hi all, Laurel again. I just wanted to make another video and address some comments and some more thoughts about this whole trans experience. One of the most common comments I get on my YouTube videos from trans people, I've luckily not seen a whole lot of negativity coming at me from the trans community, because I think the way I tell my story, typically I try to stay more in a loving, heart-centered place where I make it clear that it's because I have people's best interest in mind. I'm not trying to tell people they're wrong for what they're doing or wrong for living the way they are. I'm making people aware of what causes people to live the way they live and do the things they do. And that's what my whole experience has taught me, is that every one of us is a representation of every experience we've ever had. See, I grew up believing that your personality and demeanor was your soul coming through. Like as if my attitude, my personality, and who I am was my soul causing me to show up in the world with this personality, and that my body was just the vessel in which my soul was living. And that's how I lived most of my life, believing that to be the case. And therefore, when I felt like my internal personality or soul was female, then obviously it only made sense to change my body to match that, as far as I was concerned at the time. And as far as many trans people are concerned, we live in a world where the medical system and the mental health system looks at beliefs in the brain as if they're immutable and unchangeable, as if you believe that you're female on the inside, the only answer is to give you hormones and surgery, as if that's just what you do. And that is insane. That is ludicrous. And so one of the more common comments I get from active trans people is they say to me, well, this is your experience, but that doesn't mean that it's everyone else's experience. Or just because it was right for you to detransition doesn't mean it's right for everyone else to detransition. Or just because it wasn't right for you to have the surgery doesn't mean it's not right for someone else to have the surgery. And I'm here to call bullshit. Okay, I am straight out going to tell you, surgery is not for anybody. Gender confirmation surgery, no one should be having that. No one, okay? I have been trying to people please, in a way. I've been trying to not piss people off by not being too strongly opinionated about this. But I have seen too much of the suffering on the other side. I have experienced the suffering on the other side of this. You might be thinking that in your trans identity, while you're seeking these surgeries and affirming care and things, that that's the best thing for you, because it feels like it at the time. I thought it was, for me. There's a reason I had surgery to my body, permanently altered my body, because I honestly believed at the time that that was the right thing for me. And I know that other trans people feel the same way. They are in that position where they're like, this is just what needs to happen. My mind and my soul feels female or male, whatever direction they're trying to go. It feels right. It feels right to do this. It's affirming to who I really am. It's not who you really are. That's the problem. It's not really who you are. It's who you think you are based on your life experiences, based on the programming you received as a child that caused you to develop this belief you couldn't be who you are. At the core of every desire to be something different than who you were born as is an inability to love and accept yourself the way you were born. And this comes through experience. This comes through circumstances in your childhood where you watched something on the TV and then you heard your mom say something or you heard your dad say something, and it calculated in your mind and it formed this identity, it formed this sense of self within you based on everything you saw, everything you experienced. Little by little, it formed you to become who you think you are. And typically this happens around 3 to 5 years old in most trans people, where they develop this belief that they are something different than they are. And it's not because it was true, and it's not because it's a belief that just happened. It happened because of experience. One thing that was recently brought to my attention is at that age range of 3 to 5 years old, you receive a hormone dump or a hormone influx into your body, right? If you're a 3 to 5 year old little boy and you all of a sudden have this influx of testosterone, yet your environment and your parents and the people around you make you afraid to be a boy, or you have some reason that you can't show up as a boy, when you feel those hormones come up in your body and this desire to do boy things, yet you have your environment telling you that being a boy is not right, that you should be softer, gentler, less obnoxious, less what a boy is, you will internalize that and say, oh, I guess I can't be a boy. I'd get better love if I was a girl. And when this belief is held so long, it becomes an identity. It becomes a belief that this is who you actually are. It's not actually who you are. And so I'm here to straight out tell you, nobody, no single person ever should have gender confirmation surgery. Do you know why? Like I said, because it's not real. It is only a temporary belief, and I have seen the other side of this. I have everybody's best interest in mind. I'm not just out here trying to invalidate people. I've been accused of trying to rid the world of trans people. I am not trying to rid the world of trans people. I love all people. I have all people's best interest in mind. I want the best for everyone. I want people to be happy. I want trans people to be happy. And seeking affirming care is what temporarily brings that happiness. Some trans people might live the rest of their life in that identity and be just fine. They're not really just fine. Inside, they're struggling big time. Even if a trans person claims to be happy and living the rest of their life in their body the way it is as the opposite sex, that is a biological conflict. It is conflictual to your biology, and therefore it will continuously cause a sense of disconnect, a sense of dis-ease in the body, in life, knowing that you are going against your biology. You will constantly live the rest of your life knowing that when you die, what's going to happen? Am I going to go to hell for living that opposite sex? You might not really believe that. You might not even believe in hell, but internally there's those little thoughts that you're constantly living with as a trans person, and that's what I experienced too. I felt happier. I had the surgery. I felt happier in my body. I was dressing up the way I felt aligned with my internal sense of self, and I would go out in the world living this way all day, every day, but I was constantly faced with that internal realization that I was living in conflict to my biology. And as long as that is going on, there will be a disconnect from who you really are, a disconnect from your life. I want to talk more about the other side of this whole thing. Being a detransitioner myself, I have joined Facebook groups for detransitioners, and I see an incredible amount of pain and suffering in those like myself who have gone down this whole path thinking it was the right thing. Every one of these people says the same thing. They sound just like a currently living trans person when they say that at the time I felt like that was what I needed. That was who I was. These people literally believe that's who they were, like I did. I literally believed that I was female inside and that I had to change my body and live that way in order to fully be happy. It was only because my mind in childhood was programmed to believe that that was what happiness was, that that's what I had to become. I had to become female. I had to live as a female in order to be who I was. I grew up most of my life being a very manly man, and that was one of the problems. I was one of the more manly men that exists. I ran a trucking company. I was a mechanic, a diesel truck freak. I loved all things man, but at the same time I had this internal conflict where I felt like I was supposed to be a girl, and but it felt like it was so real. Despite the fact that I loved doing man things, I felt so strongly that I had to be female that I had ludicrous surgery to my body to make my body match how I felt inside. This is insane. You don't change your physical body, the physical being you're here to experience this life in. You don't change your physical body to match your internal sense of self. You change your internal sense of self to match the biology that you are in. That's what makes more sense. And the mental health system needs to get this through their heads. They need to become aware of this. They need to see the pain and suffering that exists on the other side of these surgeries. More detransitioners need to be heard, need to make their voices known, need to make it known that this is the reality. The reality is not that you give people hormones and surgery and all of a sudden they're happy and get to live the rest of their life in peace and love. That is not true. I am seeing a tremendous number of people who have gone down this path and had the surgeries only to seriously regret it and live with such extreme grief. And we'll never know the extent of how many people regret the surgeries. This is something that is so hard to live with that I bet a very large percentage of the suicides that we hear about and see, I bet you that person was struggling with some sort of gender identity issue inside that they never let out. A large proportion of the suicides that occur are probably because people are struggling internally with some sense of gender identity, or trans people who realize they made a huge mistake and then they kill themselves because they can't admit the mistake they made. I found myself in this place when I realized the mistake I made. All of a sudden I'm like, well crap, how do I go back to living as a man now? Everybody around here knows me as a woman. I've made a fool of myself with this whole thing. I altered my body. I robbed my wife of our intimacy and all this stuff that goes on in my head. And I was still living as a trans woman, and I had these realizations, and I thought, this is just too much. I can't handle people, what they're gonna think about me, think I'm wish-washy going back. But the reality was I had to go back. That's my biology. I was born male. I had all the male hormones in my body. My brain developed male because of the male hormones that were in my body. I am a man. There's nothing wrong with that. Men are great. Men are wonderful. Men do amazing things. I love men. I love being a man. I love women as well. I love being with a woman. But I don't have to be a woman. It is possible to love yourself the way you were born and not have to be something else. And so this brings me to the point of this video. Having gone through this whole thing, having gone through this whole gender identity crisis and coming out on the other side, it's like an adventure. It's like a journey that I went on that taught me some serious lessons about the human mind and identity and gender identity and how it's formed and how to help people navigate this whole thing within themselves. I've not worked one-on-one with people much in the past. It's never been much of a desire for me, but now with this being such a passion of mine to help people find their ability to love themselves, having gone through this and seen the pain, the suffering that occurs when someone cannot accept and love themselves, is devastating to watch. And it's devastating to watch the decisions people make and the paths they go down because they just simply can't love and accept themselves the way they are. Having permanent surgeries to their body to try to alter their body to be what is more ideal in their mind. When if you could learn to love yourself and truly love and appreciate and accept yourself just the way you are, you would not have to do any of these things. You would not have to bombard your body with the wrong hormones. You would not have to surgically modify your body. You could just love it. You could look down at your body and just be happy to be in this experience, because that's what this life is. We are here to have this physical experience. There's all this eternal existence of spiritual existence and everything out there after this life or before this life. Your spirit lives on for eternity. Awareness, consciousness, but right now we're here on this earth. You were born in a body, and you're in this body for the rest of your life. For all of your life, you're in this body. Do you really want to, 10 years from now, have to suffer with the pain and suffering of having made a permanent surgical alteration to your body based on a belief that you had at that time that could change? Because that's what identity is. Identity is fluid. Identity is not fixed. Many of us, like I said, I grew up believing that my identity was fixed because it was my soul coming through. I thought my identity was my soul and it was separate from my physical body. When I learned that my physical body is what allowed me to experience the experiences and have the sensory input and things that translated into forming my identity, all of a sudden everything changed for me. That was when it all fell apart with my trans identity. When I realized that my body is the key. My body is what allows me to experience all the feelings and sensations and emotions and pains and pleasure and everything that is in this physical life. My soul doesn't have nerves. It doesn't have nerves. My soul doesn't feel feelings. My soul doesn't feel emotions. The body does. The body is what keeps the score. The body is what stores all of these feelings, these experiences we have as we're growing up, and it stores it in little places. Have you ever noticed when you're out going through the world and you see something, like say you might see a homeless person on the side of the road and you feel a feeling in your body? For me, I feel it right here. When I see a homeless person on the side of the road, I feel this sensation here in my body that makes me feel something about that situation that I'm seeing. See, the reality is that we're constantly seeing things, hearing things, smelling things, tasting things, touching things that trigger physical sensory memories in our body from the past. And if a feeling, like that feeling in my stomach, when that comes up, it triggers thoughts in my mind that are associated with that feeling. And this is what we're all dealing with, every single one of us, as we're living through our life. But the problem is trans people take this thought feeling loop and they turn it into something that means they have to physically change their physical body in order to be happier. And this is the tragedy of this whole thing, of the mind-body feeling loop. Feelings, sensations in the body trigger thoughts. These feelings and sensations in the body are triggered by things we see, hear, smell, touch, taste. All our senses come together to trigger a thought in our mind, which then, when that thought comes in our mind, then that can trigger more feelings. And the more we feel unsafe in our body because of all these uncontrolled feelings that are just going on because we're unaware that we're constantly being triggered all the time as we're going through life. We're unaware that when we go in a store and someone says something and it triggers a feeling, and then that feeling triggers a thought, and then the thought triggers another feeling and another thought, and we go down this cascade. By the time we leave the store, we're totally pissed off or totally depressed or whatever it is that person triggered that cascade of thoughts and feelings to happen. And in a trans person, they have just allowed this thought-feeling loop to take over their life, to take over their physical being. They are victims to their body and the feelings in their body. I was a victim to the feelings in my body, and I allowed those feelings to cause thoughts. And these thoughts and feelings that I allowed myself to become a victim to, I allowed them to cause me to make decisions and go down a path to destroy my body. I destroyed my body based on these thoughts and feelings that were going unchecked. And when I realized that the body is what causes all of this. The stored feelings in the body, feelings and sensations that are stored from past experiences combined with the thoughts, that is what causes a person to become who they think they are and to make the decisions they make. Every decision you make is based on a calculation that was started with a feeling or a thought. And a thought-feeling loop happens, and eventually you make an action based on that. You think, perhaps surgery might make me happier. You make the choices that take you down that path to eventually have the surgery, and then you are temporarily happy for a while, and then it goes away. And then you realize you're in a biological conflict. You can't get anywhere in life because no one takes you seriously because you are in a biological conflict and you're living contrary to how you were born, and people don't take you seriously. People aren't going to accept that you're mentally capable of taking care of a business or corporation or doing a particular job or something if you're clearly got something going on upstairs that causes you to show up dressed as a woman when you were clearly born a man. And this is just the reality of the world we live in. It's a biological conflict, and it is not okay. It is not okay to take hormones and do surgeries to your body that defy your biology. I will straight out tell you that. Having seen what I've seen, having experienced what I've experienced, I will not let anybody tell me anymore that what was right for me is not right for other people. I am here to tell you that it is not right for any person whatsoever, no matter who you are, no matter what your beliefs are. It is not right for anybody to have surgery to your body that alters it from its original state based on a belief. I had weight loss surgery. That was a mistake. I never should have done that, and I recognize this now. See, I allowed a belief that I couldn't lose the weight on my own to cause me to have surgery to my body to lose weight. I then allowed a belief that I was female inside somehow female inside of this male body, and I was supposed to be female. I allowed that to cause this thought-feeling process to take me down this path of having surgery to my body to try to become a female. I never could become a female. I'm biologically male. My body was formed biologically male. It is never going to change no matter how many hormones or surgeries I have. And the reason I can confidently say that surgeries and hormones are not right for anybody, nobody, no matter who you are, the reason I can confidently say that is because I have seen the suffering on the other side. It's the other side that I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about your happiness right now. Your happiness living in the gender that you feel aligns with you. If you want to do that, but don't alter your body to do it. Don't take hormones to do it. If you want to live as a female, sure, go ahead, but you can never become actually the opposite gender. So it's ridiculous to try. It's ridiculous to attempt this. It's like trying to build a mansion on a beach. There's no foundation below it. Your foundation is your biology. My foundation, my biological foundation, is male, and so it only makes sense to make my internal sense of self and my identity and my mental state to align with my biological foundation of male. And it's the same for everyone else. I can confidently say that. I know enough about the human mind and about psychology and what forms identity and childhood trauma and everything that goes into a person developing their sense of identity and sense of self. I know enough about that now, having gone through this whole path and studied myself for many years in various therapy modalities and psychology, and being so just attuned to this whole process, attuned to men and women and what the difference is between men and women. You become obsessed with it, and things you become obsessed with, you become an expert at. And this has caused me to become somewhat of an expert on gender identity. I'm not going to claim to know it all, of course. I could never know it all, and I'm always still learning. But I know enough at this point to confidently say no single person should ever take cross hormones. No single person should ever have surgery to their body that alters it from its biological origin. I will straight out say that with no shame, no guilt, no fear of pissing people off, because I care more about what you have to look forward to on the other side. After you've had the surgery, after you've taken the hormones and you've suffered from the effects of that on your biological foundation, after you've gone through all that, where you are on the other side, I'm here on the other side of that darkness, waiting to hold you in my arms and give you love and tell you, I love you, I see the path you took, it's really sad, I did the same thing, I know it feels like it was the right thing for you to do at the time, but I'm here for you on the other side of the surgery, the other side of the decisions made based on a gender identity that defies your biology. I see that, and that is strong enough for me to confidently come on here and tell you that no one should have surgery. No one. Surgery to correct an actual physical problem in your body, like having a malfunctioning organ taken out, that's one thing, but even that, it could be argued that it was your state of mind and belief that caused your body to cause that organ to shut down. Our bodies are amazing, and they respond to our consistently held beliefs. If you hold a consistent belief in your mind that, or constant stress in your body, it will manifest physically in organs shutting down, in muscle atrophy and things. Your body will respond to your state of mind. If you keep yourself in a constant depressed, sad state, victim state, most trans people are in an eternal victim state. They feel a victim to their body. That's their whole reality is victimhood. I'm a victim to my body. I was born in the wrong body. I'm trapped in this body. Nobody accepts me for who I am. It's a constant state of being in a victim, and that will cause physical harm to your body if you keep yourself in that state all the time. I'm a victim. My life sucks. I was born in the wrong body. That is going to cause dis-ease in your body, which eventually will result in actual physical malfunction of your organs and things. I'm here to tell you the key to happiness is to learn to love yourself exactly the way you are, because this is the body you were born in. It was made perfectly. You might have been born with some other defects, but that was because of physical environment. It wasn't because that's who you are. That's not who you are. The answer to long-term lasting happiness, because this body and this sensory system in which we're experiencing this physical life, because we're in this body and this body's senses are what allow us to experience everything we see, hear, taste, smell, touch, feel, that is how we build our identity. Every little feeling and sensation and thought over the course of our lives programs our life. It's like building a building, one stick at a time. One little stick at a time. By the time you're an adult, you have this big building built that you think it's fixed. It can't change. This is just the building I became. This is who I am. Love me for who I am. Stop trying to make me change. You know the story. Anybody who's married has probably gone through that. Stop trying to make me change. Just love me for who I am. The reason you feel that way, the reason you notice someone being that way towards you and not loving you for the way you are, is because you don't love yourself the way you are. The only reason we ever notice anything in anybody else that bothers us is because we've got that frequency in ourselves. If we already are hating ourselves for something, we're going to assume that someone else is hating us. If we already think negatively about ourselves, we're going to see someone else get a look on their face and we're going to assume they got that look on their face because they are thinking negatively about us, because we're already thinking negatively about ourselves. If you live in a world where you constantly think positively about yourself, you're going to naturally see the positive. You're naturally going to see other people seeing you in a positive light. You're going to feel happier. And that happiness is going to build in your body. The more you hold that happiness and the more you learn that these little feelings and sensations that are triggered in your body in various places as you're going through life and experiencing different stimuli, seeing different things that trigger these feelings and sensations in your body that then trigger thoughts, the more you realize that they're just feelings, they're just sensations, and they're from the past. They're not about right now. I'm not feeling this feeling because there's something that needs to be changed or fixed right now. I'm feeling this feeling because in the past I experienced something that programmed this feeling into my body, and now this feeling has been triggered again and it causes a thought to to come up, and then that thought causes more feelings, and next thing you know, you're making decisions based on this feeling that was only a feeling from the past. And so what I started talking about a while ago is I haven't worked one-on-one with people, but I've created a website, which I will link in this video, and I've linked in my other videos now, where if you would like to work one-on-one with me, like I said, going through this whole journey has made me so aware of the struggles that people struggle with identity-wise. I've gained such a profound understanding of identity. I walk in a totally different world now than I used to. I used to walk in a world where I saw people as different. I saw their identities as who they were and immutable. That's their soul coming through, and therefore that's just who that person is. If that person's an asshole, cut them out of my life, don't want to see them anymore. Now I see people with much more light and love, because I understand that even an asshole is only being an asshole because life experiences program that person to develop that state, to become that. It doesn't mean that's who they are, it just means that's who they kind of became over the course of their life because of experiences. But because that's the case, that also means they can change. They can all of a sudden decide, oh, I don't want to be an asshole anymore. I can change and be happy. And the same thing is true with gender identity. Just because you have a gender identity that defies your biology doesn't mean it's immutable and unchangeable and is going to be that way forever. It can change. And do you really want to experience a change of gender identity and having had permanent surgery to your body? No. At the time, no matter how right it feels, it's not right. It's not right. Anybody who is seeking gender-affirming care right now, gender-affirming surgery, stop dead in your tracks. Stop dead in your tracks right now and analyze why you're seeking that. And I can guarantee you it's not because it's really who you are. I can guarantee you it's because your life experiences have programmed you to develop this belief that that is who you are. It doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. It's not for me to say that you shouldn't do it, but it is for me to say that it's not the right thing. You're an adult, do what you want to with your body, but I can guarantee you're gonna regret it. You're gonna arrive at a place later in life where you're gonna realize, shit, I should not have done that. And that's what I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about your happiness now, because I know that your happiness later is what really matters. Your happiness right now is only temporary. And when you seek that surgery and you take those hormones and they damage your body, and then you have to live the rest of your life with this realization that you fucked up, that you made a mistake, I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to look back and say, wow, I almost made a huge mistake. I almost damaged my body. But I'm sure glad I watched that Laurel person on YouTube and they changed my mind. They made me aware of something that was going on in me that I wasn't even aware of. I wasn't even aware that my identity was changeable. I didn't even know my identity was not fixed. So again, I would say, like I said, it's not my place to tell you not to have the surgery, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I care about you and I care about your future. I care about your happiness in the future, not as much as your happiness right now. Your happiness right now is temporary. What's long-term in the future is what really matters, and that's what I'm concerned about, and that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the bigger picture. I'm not seeing just that you need to be happy right now. Temporary happiness, it's like taking a drug. It might make you feel better, might make you feel happier right now, but tomorrow you might feel shitty because then you're suffering from the after effects of taking that drug. Drinking alcohol makes you feel great, feel amazing while you're doing it, and the more you drink, the more amazing you feel. But then the next morning, what do you feel like? You feel like shit. Having surgery, it might make you feel amazing. Oh, it's like taking a drug. It makes me feel amazing. I had the surgery, my body matches my internal sense of self. And then you feel like shit later because you fucked up your body. You destroyed your poor body. The body that is the only body you have to live with. I can't tell you not to have the surgery, but I'm going to anyway. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Listen to someone who has been down that path and is now experiencing the extreme suffering, pain, and grief of doing so and knowing the reality of this decision. I love you all. I care about you. I care about your future happiness. Please understand that.